From a bullied, alien-obsessed nerd to a speed demon nobody can stop, today we're breaking down every single form of Kent Takakura, better known as Okarun, in Dandadan. Let's start right from the beginning, with his ordinary nerd form. When we first meet him, Okarun has the classic anime nerd look, messy hair, glasses, and his head buried deep into an occult book during class. His classmates mock him, but he doesn't even flinch. The truth is, he's been bullied his entire life, called weird and stupid since childhood, and never had real friends. But what no one around him realizes is that this quiet nerd actually has a unique gift. He can sense and see spirits thanks to his natural spiritual awareness. One day, while he's being picked on as usual, the super popular Momo ISA steps in to defend him. The bullies back off, and Okarun is stunned. He runs after her, gushing about space and aliens because he noticed her glance at his book. But he gets carried away. He rambles so much that Momo gets annoyed. That's when she reveals she doesn't believe in aliens at all. For her, ghosts are the real deal, since her grandmother is a psychic. Okarun laughs at her belief, and what starts as a clash of opinions quickly escalates into a bet. Okarun has to enter a haunted tunnel to prove ghosts aren't real, while Momo must explore an abandoned hospital to prove aliens don't exist. That night, Okarun heads into the tunnel alone. At first, nothing happens until he suddenly encounters a creepy old woman. Terrified, he tries to run, but it's too late. The woman is none other than the infamous Turbo Granny. Before he even knows what's happening, she attacks him and places a deadly curse on his body. And with that, we reach Okarun's second form, the Turbo Granny curse form. After stealing his manhood, yes, really, Turbo Granny completely takes over his body. His face warps into a mask of her twisted features, his hair turns long and white, and while his frame stays thin, it now hides monstrous power. In this state, Okarun gains inhuman speed, terrifying strength, vicious durability, and even a bite force strong enough to rip through his enemies. The first time we see this form in action, Okarun bursts out of Momo's phone after she's been captured by aliens known as the Serpo. He goes completely feral, screaming about bananas while tearing through everything in sight. Though he sometimes manages to break through for a brief moment, Turbo Granny always regains control. And when she does, even Momo becomes a target. The only reason Okarun survives this nightmare is because Momo awakens her psychic powers, blasts Turbo Granny out of him, and destroys the UFO holding them captive. But the curse is far from gone. Turbo Granny still has what she stole, and Okarun is stuck with the curse lodged deep inside him. Okarun realizes he can't fight it alone. Luckily, Momo's psychic powers can suppress Turbo Granny's influence, and with her support, Okarun learns to tap into those abilities while keeping his mind intact. This gives rise to Okarun's third form, Turbo Granny with Momo's help. The moment he channels her energy, his appearance transforms. His hair spikes upward and turns ghostly white. Two thick black stripes appear under his eyes. A sharp jaw mask forms over his face, full of jagged teeth, while his body bulks up and his posture takes on a hunched turn. His nails extend into razor-like claws, and even his clothes take on flame-like patterns. But it's not just his appearance that changes. His personality takes a darker, edgier turn. He starts speaking in a gloomy yet confident tone, ends sentences with yo, and even switches from calling Momo Miss ISA to the much friendlier Momo-chan. What really defines this form, though, is his insane speed. Borrowing from Turbo Granny's curse, he can blitz through enemies with rapid headbutts or even launch himself like a living projectile. His ultimate move, All Out, rockets him forward at nearly 100 kilometers per hour, turning him into a missile that can destroy anything in his path. The catch? He can only use it twice before his body burns out. On top of this, his bite force is monstrous, strong enough to rip entire fingers off the terrifying Flatwoods monster. Combined with his strength, durability, and wild agility, Okarun becomes a serious threat, and with Momo at his side, he takes down foes far stronger than he ever could before. But his curse doesn't go away so easily. During their attempt to reclaim what Turbo Granny stole from him, she manages to take over once again. Okarun nearly loses himself completely until Momo and Seiko intervene. Together, they sealed Turbo Granny's spirit inside a Japanese cat doll. But here's the twist. Her spiritual essence doesn't vanish. Instead, it stays locked inside Okarun. And that leads to Okarun's fourth form, the true Turbo Granny form. This version is different from everything before. Now he isn't just borrowing her powers with Momo's help, he has full control over them at will. Turbo Granny's raw speed, monstrous strength, and terrifying resilience are now his to command. Whenever danger arises or his anger boils over, he can instantly switch into this form and unleash devastation. At first he struggles to master it, but over time he begins training to push his abilities further. With Turbo Granny's reluctant guidance, he even learns the concept of combat rhythm, striking in a 5-beat sequence that maximizes damage and speed. Using this, he blitzes enemies so fast they can't react, overwhelming them in an instant. This training pays off massively when he finally defeats the Evil Eye in battle, something that would have been impossible without his newfound mastery. With this form, Okarun isn't just surviving anymore, he's fighting back, stronger and faster than ever before.
Even though Okarun mastered the true Turbo Granny form, his battles only grew tougher. One encounter with a group of aliens pushed him to his very limit, leaving his body broken and hooked up to life support. And from here, things got even stranger. This is where we see Okarun's fifth form, Spirit Form. Separated from his body, his consciousness becomes a ghost-like projection. In this state, no one can see him except people with extraordinary spiritual awareness like Seiko. Okarun freaks out, unsure if he's alive or already dead. But soon, he learns this form has abilities of its own. He can fly, phase through things, and even travel across long distances by zipping through telephone cables. This ability, called telephone wire transportation, lets him ride the magnetic field inside wires at Turbo Granny level speeds. On top of that, Seiko teaches him to harness spiral power, a technique that uses spiral dynamics to boost his abilities even further. With this new knowledge, Okarun prepares for his return. Harnessing spiral power unlocks Okarun's sixth form, Turbo Granny V2. Now back in action, Okarun's speed is on a whole new level. When he ejects from telephone wires, he moves so fast it's like lightning tearing across the battlefield. In one fight, he uses an upgraded All-Out to completely obliterate a spatial suit alien before it can even touch Momo. His chain blitz attacks let him crush enemies one after another, proving just how dangerous he's become. But the real turning point comes during the Don Mara arc. With Momo trapped inside a twisted, cursed diorama, Okarun has no choice but to go all in. Despite already using up his 2 all-outs, he forces his body to transform once again. This desperate act gives rise to Okarun's 7th form, Full Power Turbo Granny. In this feral state, his features mutate even further. His glasses morph into glowing eyes, his jagged teeth sharpen, and his long white hair flows like a storm. Together with the powerhouse Sinan, Okarun defeats the fairy tale card yokai, frees Momo, and even manages to reclaim one of his stolen treasures. Eventually, Okarun makes a surprising decision. He returns Turbo Granny's powers. But this doesn't mean he's weak. In fact, this unlocks Okarun's 8th form, Powerless but Enhanced Okarun. Even without supernatural abilities, his training and spiritual evolution have left a permanent mark on his body. He becomes freakishly athletic, humiliating his old bully Hass in front of everyone during gym class. Word spreads, and the nerd who was once ignored becomes popular and admired. But while his natural gifts are impressive, they aren't enough to protect him from stronger threats. That's when he equips Okarun's 9th form, Nano-Skin Armor. Thanks to his friend Kinta, Okarun receives a high-tech suit equipped with jet boosters, armored plating, and pile bunkers that turn his legs into devastating weapons. The boosters let him soar into the air and rocket toward enemies at breakneck speed, while the armor keeps him alive in brutal fights. When the situation gets even worse, Okarun fuses with Kinta to unlock an upgraded armor mode, finally managing to bring down Haas. And finally, we arrive at Okarun's 10th and latest form, the Oni Club Form. After his victories, Seiko hands him a mysterious weapon, the Oni Club. At first glance, it looks nothing more than a burnt stick, and Okarun even thinks he's being pranked. But this weapon carries incredible power. Under Manjiro's training, Okarun begins learning to wield it, setting the stage for his next transformation. Though we've only seen glimpses of its potential, one thing is clear. Even without Turbo Granny's curse, Okarun is destined to keep growing stronger.
Final thoughts. From bullied nerd to an unstoppable warrior, Okarun's journey is one of constant evolution. Each form not only makes him stronger, but also reflects his growth, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. Whether it's the cursed ferocity of Turbo Granny, the lightning-fast blitzes of Spiral Power, or the raw might of the Oni Club, Okarun proves time and again that he's one of the most dynamic characters in Dandadan. So, which of Okarun's forms do you think is the coolest? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to catch the next breakdown.